Hello everyone, welcome to this session. I hope you all are doing well, and since we have the exams coming up, I hope you all are preparing very well. So in this video, I'll be discussing all about the IBPS PO exam, the selection criteria, the exam pattern, the cutoffs. We'll discuss all that because it's scheduled to be held in October, and it's a great time to, if you're a beginner, it's a great time to start preparing for the IBPS PO. And if you have already covered the topics, it is a great time to start practicing from here so that you have enough practice and you are able to easily clear the IBPS PO exam. So let's begin. So a little bit about me. I am Pruthi. I have done BS MS in mathematics. I have cleared IBPS PO 2020-21 and I've got Bank of India. I have also cleared in this year SBI PO Mains, RBI Grade-B Phase 1, ECGC PO and IBPS Clerk Pre-Exam. I also appeared for the CAT exam last year and I got 97.5%. So let's begin the session. So in this session, we'll be seeing what all is there in the IBPS PO. So first we'll see the dates for the exams that were held this year, and we'll also see the tentative dates that have been given by IBPS in its calendar. Then we'll see the exam pattern and also go through the syllabus outline. Then we'll see the cutoff for this year's exams, and then we'll also see the analysis of this year's IBPS PO Mains exam. And at the last, we'll see the cutoffs of last 3-4 years combined, and we'll analyze those. So let's begin first with the exam dates. So the prelims exams last year was held on 3rd, 10th and 11th of October. But due to the pandemic, many colleges were not able to give their results, or there were many issues. So IBPS conducted the exam. It allowed the aspirants to appear again. Those who had already given were not allowed to appear again. Any fresh candidate was allowed to fill the exam and appear. So the re-exam was held on 5th and 6th of January. Then the mains exam was held on 4th of Feb 2021. And then the interviews were held during the first half of March. So in its calendar that IBPS has released for this year, the tentative dates for IBPS PO are, for the pre, it's given 9, 10, 16 and 17th October. And for the mains, the tentative is 27th of November. So I hope you are clear with the dates, so you have an idea of how to plan your preparation. So next we'll see the exam pattern. So in the prelims exam, we have 3 sections: English, Quant and Reasoning. So English has 30 questions, 30 marks. Reasoning has 35 questions and 35 marks. Quant has 35 questions, 35 marks. So for each of the sections, you are given 20 minutes of time. So in total, you have 100 questions and 100 marks. In total, 1 hour. One thing to note here is that there are sectional cutoffs. So if you clear the cutoff for all the 3 sections separately and also an overall total cutoff, only then are you selected for appearing in the mains exam. So about the mains exam, there are 5 sections. So first 4 are objective type and the 5th exam section is descriptive. So in the objective, we have reasoning and computer aptitude. In this, we have 45 questions which are worth 60 marks and you are given 1 hour for this. In data analysis and interpretation, that is your quant section, you have 35 questions and which are for 60 marks. So this is worth noting that 35 questions, 60 marks. There are many questions which are of 2 marks and time here is 45 minutes. Then we have general or economic or banking awareness. Here we have 40 questions and 40 marks and the time given is 35 minutes. Then the English language objective paper, we have 35 questions worth 40 marks and total of 40 minutes are given for this. There is sectional time for each of the sections, which is specified. So in total for the objective, we have 155 questions, 200 marks and 3 hours. So as soon as this 3 hours end, there is a descriptive exam. Here you are given 2 questions, one for essay and one for letter. You are given 2 or 3 options in the essay as well as in the letter, and you have to choose one and you have to type your answer on that. So those 2 questions are total worth of 25 marks, and you are given half an hour for that. So here also there are sectional cutoffs for each of the 5 sections. So you have to clear the sectional cutoffs of all 5 sections and also a total cutoff out of 225. So if you clear all these cutoffs, then you are selected for the interview. And the interview is worth of 100 marks. So the interview marks which are out of 100 are converted to 20, and the mains marks which are of 225 are converted to 80. So you have mains marks 80 and interview 20. So total of 100. Out of this, your final score is calculated, and based on this, if you clear the final cutoff, then you are provisionally allotted. So I hope the pattern is very clear. Then let's go through the outline of the syllabus for each of the sections. So for quant, the first step is numbers. So you should have a good command on numbers, tables, squares, cubes, and calculation. So the first 3 topics which are very important for pre and also for strengthening your calculations are simplification approximation, quadratic equations, and number series. So these 3 play a very important part in your pre-exam as well. Then we have data interpretation. This is important for pre, and for mains it is very, very important. So for mains you should practice a lot of data interpretation. We'll see the mains exam analysis and we'll see how much weightage it held this time. Then what I consider the base of the arithmetic, the percentage, ratio, and average. So you need to have a very good foundation of these 3 topics, and only then should you move on to arithmetic. So in arithmetic we have problems on ages, profit and loss, simple and compound interest. Then you have time and work. In time and work we have pipes and cisterns also, it's included in this. Then we have time, speed, and distance. Here we include problems on trains, and many other topics are there. Then we have mixture and allegation that we say. Then we have partnership, probability, PNC is permutation and combination, and then we have mensuration, both 2D and 3D. So I have already had a detailed syllabus discussion on Unacademy special class regarding quant section. You can go through that. Then in reasoning what we have is, first is alphabets and alphanumeric. Then we have coding, decoding. Then we have number and order ranking. Then syllogism. Then blood relation. Then inequalities, direction and distance, input, output. So these are what is called the miscellaneous section. So these you should practice topic wise, study topic wise, and practice them thoroughly. These are very important for pre, and for mains some of the topics are very important and you should do some high level questions of these topics. Then we have logical or critical reasoning. This is only asked in the mains exam, so you should have a good base for this, good understanding and good reasoning skills. Then a very important part is the puzzles and seating arrangement. In pre, puzzles play a very important role. More than half of the marks are for the puzzles and seating arrangement, and in the mains as well, at least more than around half of the total of 60 marks is puzzles and seating arrangement. Then we have English section. For English, what I consider is there are three main areas: grammar, vocabulary, and reading. So vocabulary is sort of a part of reading, but it needs to be done separately as well. So these three things can be asked in any type of question. So these are the type of questions that are usually asked in the banking exams. We have error detection, we have fillers. In fillers, we have single fillers as well as double fillers. Then we have close test and sentence completion, word swap, word substitution, phrase replacement, sentence rearrangement, column matching, parajumble, reading comprehension, and sentence connect. So I would suggest you should have a good base of the concepts of grammar, and you should read editorials daily, and if possible also do one or two reading comprehensions, practice one or two daily, at least for pre. Then in the descriptive exam that is held in the mains after the objective question sections, in the descriptive we have essay and letter. So in essay you are given three topics, you have to choose one and you have to specify which of the three you are choosing, A, B or C. Mention that clearly. For essay, I would suggest you can do some courses as well to know the structure, how to uh, frame your content. And in letter, of course, format is very important, and also the content. So these are fairly the descriptive section is fairly simple. The reading helps a lot in this, and you should practice a little bit of typing, because in 30 minutes you have to complete both the questions. You have to think over your content, then you have to frame it, and then you also have to type it. So this was the English section syllabus. Then we have general awareness. So in general awareness, we have static awareness. In static, we have dams, rivers, tiger reservoirs, bank taglines, their MBCOs. Many more things are there. You can see those. Then a very important part is around 3/4 of the questions are asked from current affairs. So it is suggested that we cover at least 5 to 6 months prior to the mains exam date. So for current affairs, it is very good if you are able to do it daily and then weekly and monthly revision. But if not, at least go for a weekly study of current affairs and a lot of MCQs practice. Then we have banking awareness. So in banking, there are some limited topics which you should cover. These are important for the mains exam and also very important for the interview. In almost every interview I've heard, at least one or two questions have been asked related to banking. So this you can do as soon as you complete the other three sections. As soon as you cover the pre topics for the other three sections, you can start the banking awareness courses. So I have in the last session I had discussed the study plan for the beginners. You can go through that for each of the sections I have specified. So now let's after the syllabus, let's see the cutoff for the exam that was held on 4th of Feb, the mains, and the pre-exams. Combined cutoff for all the 5 days was given. So in English, out of 30, the cutoff was 11. So sectional cutoffs are usually not very high, but the total cutoffs are the ones that are more important and can be hard to clear. So in English, we had the cutoff 11. For quant out of 35, it was 9.25, and for reasoning out of 35, it was 8. These are the sectional cutoffs. The total cutoff for pre-exam was 58.75 out of 100. Then for the mains, let's go through the sectional cutoffs. For reasoning, we had only 6 out of 60. So here, a very important thing to notice is you are given 60 minutes for 45 questions of reasoning, and the cutoff was only 6 marks. So you can imagine the level of the questions. Then for data analysis and interpretation, the cutoff was 8.75 out of 60. Again, you can see the level of questions. And general awareness, 9.75 out of 40. English language, 11.75 out of 40. And descriptive, 10 out of 25. So these were the sectional cutoffs for IBPS PO Mains 2020-21. The final total cutoff out of 225 was 83.5. So if you got more than 83.5 in mains, you were called for the interview. Now, as I told, 80 marks, these 225 marks for mains are converted to 80, and the 100 marks given in interview are converted to 20. So this way you get a final cutoff out of 100. The highest scorer, the maximum score was 62.98 this time, and the minimum, that is the cutoff for allotment for your final selection, was 47.89. I hope the cutoffs are clear and you have an idea of what the level of difficulty of questions in the mains is. So let's now go through the analysis. So in the analysis that I have prepared, we all know it's mostly memory based. What to ask the students tell online to the YouTube channels and everything. It's basically only the data from there. So it's not very crisp. The data isn't very crisp. We just have an outline of it. I have tried to research from various sites and try to see the common points that are there. We don't exactly need to know the exact number of questions from each of the topics. We just need to know what topics were asked and which topic had how much weightage roughly. So let's go through the reasoning section first. So since I also gave the exam, according to me, the level was moderate, easy to moderate, although the cutoffs, they don't say that, but I felt it was easy to moderate, but the questions were time consuming. This is why the cutoff was so low. Because if you got stuck at one puzzle and you gave more than 10 minutes or 15 minutes to it, you are not able to do too many questions. So the paper was very time consuming. So the puzzles there were 7 to 8 sets of puzzles, which were around 28 to 30 marks out of the total 60. Then there was one question of input output, coded input output, which had 4 questions. Then coded blood relation, 2 questions. Then direction had 1 or 2 questions. And we had data sufficiency, 2 or 3 questions. Then coding decoding, 2-3 questions. And logical reasoning, 4 to 6 questions. So you can easily see either you can go for miscellaneous along with 1 or 2 puzzles, or at max 3 puzzles, or you can only go for puzzles and you will be able to do around, say, maximum 5 puzzles. So in mains, this is very important, how you choose the questions, and you don't have to have the pressure that you have to do all the questions. You have to select the questions, and whichever question you choose, you have to do it correctly. So let's look at some of the puzzles which were asked. So there was a floor-based puzzle which had 7 floors, 7 people, and 7 countries. Then there was a scheduling puzzle where we had 12 people going in 6 months, and we had 2 dates, 3rd and 18th of each of the 6 months. Then we had concentric squares, a small square inside a bigger square, and people were sitting facing each other. The ones in the smaller were facing outside, and the ones in the outer square were facing inside. Then we had a double linear, so we had 2 parallel rows. We had 10 people, so 5 people in each row. Then we had a linear puzzle where we had couples. Around 4 couples were there from what I remember, and all were north facing. Then we had a distance based puzzle. We had 2 lanes and the distance between each person was given. Then we had a hexagon plus triangle plus circle puzzle, which was fairly easy but only lengthy. So next, let's look at data analysis and interpretation. That is the quant section. So the level here, according to me, was moderate, and but same it was time consuming. So as we had seen, the cutoff was in single digits. So it was mainly because the questions were time consuming. So the main part was data interpretation. So as we know, there are 35 questions. I've listed the number of questions. So out of 35, around 16 to 17 were purely of DI, data interpretation. Then we had quantity comparison, 2 questions. We had wrong series, 2 questions were 3 marks. And we had a caslet on time, speed and distance, which had 3 to 4 questions. Then data sufficiency to 3 questions. And we had a mensuration caslet, which had 3 questions. And a caslet on boys girls, which was fairly simple, which had 3 marks. 3 questions, sorry. So this was the layout of the data analysis and interpretation section. So in the DI, that were of 16, 17 questions were asked. We had a tabular DI. We had male, female, literate, illiterate. So the whole table was given. Then we had a double pie chart. Then we had a line plus table DI, which had manager and male, female, the number of managers and male, female. So you can find the memory based papers on the internet anywhere, and you can have an idea of the level of questions. Then for the English objective section, the level was easy to moderate. The questions were slightly lengthy. You had to give proper focus on each of the questions while reading. And there were slightly complex questions, which I'll explain how. So we had reading comprehension 3 sets, which were of 12 questions. In English, we had 35 questions total, out of which 12 were of RC. Then we had word rearrangement, 3 to 4 questions. So either you are given one sentence and you have 4 words marked, you have to rearrange those words such that the sentence forms a complete, meaningful, has a meaning. Then we had parajumble with fillers. We had 2 questions. Then we had double fillers 4, and starters and connectors 3, and close test 4 to 5 questions, and phrase replacement 2 to 3 questions. So whenever you will be practicing the mains level questions, you will have such type of questions. The parajumble with fillers was slightly difficult, but if you have enough practice, you will be able to get a decent score in English. Then the descriptive part, in the essay, I only remember 2 topics. I didn't even look at the third. So the first was work from home, since COVID pandemic, the lockdown and all was there. So an easy topic was work from home, its pros and cons. So in the first para, you could give an introduction to like how the COVID has affected, and there have been lockdowns and everyone is working from home. In the second para, you can give the pros, that is the advantages of work from home. In the third para, you could give some disadvantages, some cons of work from home. And finally, you could give some conclusion that it seems that this is the only way forward. The future will be mostly work from home and all that. You can conclude very well. Then the next topic was inflation, cost of living. In the letter, we had 3 options. The first one was complain about defective mixer grinder. So complain to the manager of a store. Then the next was a letter to the editor of a newspaper, saying that people, especially youngsters, do grammatical errors due to texting apps. As they are so focused on texting apps, their vocabulary and grammar have all changed. Then there was a decline a person's loan request as he or she is not eligible, or he or she is already a defaulter or something. I don't remember exactly, but it was on these lines. So these were the topics of essay and letter. You have to write one essay, type out one essay and one letter. Then in the RC, there were three sets. First was on AI, artificial intelligence. The other was on fishery, and the third was on water crisis. So next we have the general awareness. This was easy to moderate again. A little, most of the questions of current affairs were direct. Here, since I had already given SBI PO, so comparing this with SBI PO Mains of 2021, IBPS PO was slightly easier. Many who had given SBI PO were prepared for IBPS. So in the general awareness, in SBI, not very direct questions were there, but in IBPS PO, there were some direct questions which were easy. So I've listed down some of the questions that were there, some of the topics that were there. So you can have an idea of what kind of questions are there in general awareness. So I hope the analysis is also very clear for each of the sections. This was the analysis of IBPS PO Mains 2020-21. So we have discussed the cutoff, the exam pattern and the analysis. Now let's look at the previous year cutoff. So beyond 2020, we'll look at 2019, 18 and 17. So it is very important that you don't go just by the cutoff of 1 year only. You should have at least seen 3 to 4 years of cutoffs, because the level of each of the section could vary in every year, as we'll see. So in the pre-exam, let's see the cutoff for English section. So 10.5, 8.75 and 5. So you can see the variation every year. Then quant 8.75, 7.75, 7.75. For reasoning 10.25, 9 and 10. So the sectional cutoffs for pre are pretty much very low, as you can see, mostly in the single digits, close to 10 at max. The total cutoff is what is very important. So in the total, we had 2019, we had 59.75, then 56.75 and 42.75. So you can see the cutoff variation, and this would probably be due to the difficulty of questions. Then for the main exam, let's see reasoning section. The cutoffs were 7.75, 10.25, 10.25. For quant, it was 5.25, 4.5 and 14. So here you can see a lot of variation. For the 14, probably the quant section was much easier compared to the other years. Then general awareness, this cutoffs were 8, 8 and 11.75. For English, 14.25, 11.25 and 5.75. Again, so much variation. So 14.25 here, the English section was comparatively easier. Descriptive, all the years was 10, the cutoff. The total cutoff is very important. So out of 225, we had the cutoffs 71.25, 74.5 and 82. This can be very important. Then the final cutoff, which is out of 100, where you had 225 converted to 80 for the mains, and the 100 marks for interview converted to 20. So the final cutoff, that is out of 100. The maximum scorer had a score of 60.58 in 2019, and the minimum score, that is above which you were selected. The final selection was done above this score. The minimum was 44.44. In 2018, the highest was 63.9 and the minimum was 43.8. The 2017, the highest was 65.5 and lowest was 47. So I hope you are able to see the variation, not just go by 1 year of cutoffs. These were for 2019, 18 and 17. Previously, we had seen for 2020, 21. So you can compare the cutoffs for each of the years. As you can see, the final cutoff was 83.5 this year, which was higher than the last 3 years. So in the mains exam, it is suggested that if you have a score above, you are at least 15 marks ahead of the cutoff. So if the cutoff in 2019 was 71.25, so if you have above 85 marks, you are pretty safe. And if you are able to do an average interview also, then there are high chances that will be given the selection. Of course, if you are given the first preference or not, remains to be seen, because the final score is what matters in the final selection. So mains and interview are what are counted for the final selection. Prelims is just a qualifying exam for the mains to appear in the mains. So I hope this session helped you at least a little bit in knowing about IBPS PO, the pattern, syllabus, cutoffs, mains exam analysis, and previous year cutoffs. So I did all my preparation on Unacademy. I bought its Plus subscription. I did all the courses there only and practice there. So if you also are thinking of buying the Plus subscription on Unacademy, you can apply the code RANKER10. You will get instant discount on it. So you have the plans for 1 month, 3 months, 6, 12 and 24. You can go for any of these depending on what stage of preparation you are at. And if you apply the code RANKER10, you will get 10% discount. You can also go through my previous videos in which I had discussed the exam pattern for various exams, and also I discussed the study plan for a beginner where I had specified for each of the sections what all topics to cover and how you can plan your preparation, because a planned preparation can help you a lot in clearing the exams in the first attempt itself. Thank you everyone. I hope you like this session. Please like and share. Thank you.